This is the story of how the US Postal Service deleted my artwork, and how I decided to respond to that. I'm Jack Moranitz, and I've been selling handmade woodblock prints for several years now on Etsy. I always choose to ship with USPS because it's the cheapest, most convenient, and hey, I might as well put some of my tax dollars to use. Over the years, I've sold about 100 woodblock prints on my store. Up to now, and to my surprise, I haven't had any incidents with shipping, and that's despite living in a bunch of different places all over the US. However, about a month ago, while I was in the middle of managing 20 Chameleon 2 orders, I also had 3 prints to ship out. I finally made it through this period of constant 3D printing, packing, shipping, and other logistics, including those 3 prints that I shipped out. But at that point, I still didn't know what was in store. Some time later, I received a message from a customer who had ordered my Honu at Makena Cove print. He let me know that it had still not been delivered despite being shipped many days before. Upon a closer look at the tracking numbers, I found out that all 3 of the prints, which I'd mailed on 2 separate occasions, had still been displaying
awaiting package
by USPS. So this is where my investigation began. The first step was to talk to my local postal worker, who I happened to catch at the end of the day. We took a look at the outgoing mailbox and determined that the prints were no longer there, meaning they'd been picked up by somebody. Obviously, the next step was to call the postal service, so I picked up my phone and spoke with a really friendly but somewhat robotic and very repetitive customer service agent. They weren't very helpful. Alas, I submitted my USPS missing mail search request, which I knew would be carefully evaluated and initiate a prompt and thorough search of the US Postal Service facilities. To no surprise, they were able to find the packages. Just kidding, they didn't find it. After a week or so of constantly cheering for my tracking numbers, somehow all of my problems were still not solved. In fact, none of my prints even made it into the hands of a postal worker, despite my positive encouragement and unwavering trust. Okay, for real, it hurt a lot to see those prints just vanish into a void of tracking updates. Especially because one of them was the last in its edition. But hey, at least they're part of the permanent exhibit at the USPS warehouse. Once I got over these losses, I knew it was time to restock these prints. Clearly, USPS wanted to complete their collection. So I got back to my printing bench and got after it. I started with my mini print, Moka Pot, which was now totally depleted. This print is special because it not only depicts a moka pot, it's also made from pigment that's made out of coffee. Coffee that is made from a moka pot. This time I was tempted to just use brown pigment because it's so easy, but I knew I had to maintain the novelty of this print. So at 10 p.m. I fired up the coffee and got the pigment ready in advance of the printing. Then I set aside a day and performed my usual printing process, including paper cutting, moistening, printing, and finally drying. Don't tell the Postal Service, but I actually did have a lot of fun with the printing process once I got into it. It also gave me some more hours of testing with the Chameleon 2, the adaptable Baron for printmakers. Now I was excited and ready to do some more printing. Next up was my Waves Off of Nova print. The idea with this one was that I would do a new color variation. Although the original print had a very unique and interesting coloration, this time I opted for a less abstract and more literal color palette. This made the process way more fun. It was like seeing a brand new print come to life, even though I'd carved it several years ago. In the end, these prints came out great. I loved the new color palette and the overall print quality was much improved. It was also another chance to get more experience with the Chameleon 2, the adaptable Baron for printmakers. When I started all of this, it was simply about replacing what had been lost. Well, that and waging my personal vendetta against the US Postal Service. However, the more I printed, the more I remembered why I love printmaking so much. In fact, I even have some plans to do more printing in the coming weeks, even on some works which I haven't shown for years. So I'll keep busy with some more printing, but in summary, lost some prints in the mail, but I restocked and they're now in my shop, so if you want to check out my shop, check it out. Otherwise, see ya!